Hello, hello, hello. What's up, kings and queens? How we doing out there, huh? Oh, ignore that. That's my dog freaking out. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Wow. Look at how different this place looks. Going through the village here. Reading the Albeneric's blood clot in the description of it, it's we all know that Christian overtones are pretty heavily used in this game, and one theme of, I don't know if it's necessarily unique to Christianity, but definitely theology and monotheism is this kind of idea of scientific medical progression being this very negative thing, and specifically when we start creating life of our own, in a religious kind of viewpoint, it's a very it's like an abomination, which is why Albeneric's in the light of the Erd Tree is looked at so negatively. Wow, I am not good at this game. Truth hurts, man, you know? But sometimes you just gotta face it. Just gotta face it. I feel like I was good at one point and I've just not anymore. That's great. Just miss him. The reach on you, bro. And that's almost certainly why the Nox were banished underground. And what the? Oh. That was interesting. Okay. My screen just went black there. Cool. Oh, what the? How do I keep missing that? Crucible Knot Talisman. Read what it says. Talisman fashioned by a bony knot that embodies the aspects of the various creatures. Said to have grown on the human body long ago. Reduces damage of impacts of headshots taken. Like, how often does that happen? Vestige of the crucible of primordial life, born partially of devolution. It was considered a signifier of the divine in ancient times, but is now increasingly disdained as an impurity as civilization has advanced. by now at this point in the game, the kind of theme of with human advancement comes this judgment of anything lesser than and anything that is considered odd. Oh shit. Oh boy. But those things don't just go away. They are just further and further cast to the shadows, becoming more and more hostile and strong as we collectively as a society continue to ignore and condemn those aspects of society. Crystal sword. Another blood clot. I can't figure out why she's not here. I must have progressed it too far. I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm looking for the cave that what's her face is in. It's somewhere on this wall, I think. Right? Aha! Oh-ho! Hmm? I wonder why that chest is different. Hey, crazy. How are you, dude? Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything revelatory about it, but... Not that I can remember. little booger. Oh. Not really. Just kind of playing and talking. More of the same. This morning I worked on my lore video and I'm just trying to keep a streak going with content, honestly. Just trying to grow a little bit. Spread the word. I really appreciate that, man. Seriously. It goes a long way for me. So, yeah, man. I really do appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed. Trust me. You don't like that theory? You think there's more? You think there's more to the story than that? I don't know. I don't know. I think where he's at and where he ends up is more of a metaphor than an actual like legitimate, like he got tossed from a balcony like all the way down. I think it just shows like he was once the golden child, you know, very much the symbol of, wow, you are absolutely kicking my ass. Very much the symbol of, holy fuck, dude, calm down. Ooh. These guys fight like Artorias. It's cool. Stagger, you bitch. Stagger, you bitch. Yeah, I think it's just a metaphor for, yeah. God, what a pimp. Where did that come from there? A metaphor for like the ego kind of falling from grace and dying. But gameplay story-wise, like you have to have some sort of reason as to how he got there, I guess. They just yeeted him right out the window. Yeah. Are they asleep? Interesting. They actually are. So I picked up a Saint Trina's lily back here, slumbering wolf shack, and they're sleeping. Interesting. They seem to have some sort of contact with Mikola, and obviously we know that the Albinarics are kind of like very heavily involved with the Halig tree and therefore Mikola. So I like Torrent, but man, if he could be a wolf, that would be so sweet. You know, one thing that I just kind of brought to my mind seeing this. Hey, hey, wake up! Seeing this scene and knowing that the Albinarics ride their wolves and care for them very much. And a theme of this game is that shadows are wolf-like creatures that are kind of outcasts or separated from the individual. And what we know about Mikola being a much more the final stage of the animus and a well-rounded or balanced partner and kind of this intermediary between the conscious and unconscious, it makes sense that the things drawn to the Halig tree would have this very close relationship between the individual and their beast, their shadow. That's a really, really cool illustration of Mikola's kind of like end goal. Cool.
Foul tarnished. What do you want?
Jeez.
I told the all-hearing brute that I possess no such medallion. Or have you come to take more from me? Was my other half not enough?
Yeah, and she calls, her wolf her other half. And what we know about Jungian psychology and all that kind of stuff is it's your psyche is split into your ego half and kind of your shadow half. And nobody but Albinarics seem to give a shit about their shadow half. Yeah. Yeah, and the end goal for kind of the process of individuation and spiritual enlightenment and, psychological development is that you and your shadow become inseparable. Like, you embrace that part of yourself, and it's no longer this outcast thing of societal pressures. It's something that is you embrace as being part of you. Yeah, it's the way this story is told in light of psychology is really, really cool.
Do you speak true? So Albus entrusted his medallion to you. Then I've no choice but to trust that this was his dying will. Let's try again. I'm Latenna. An Albinoric, the same as old Albus. My apologies for my coarse words earlier. I presume the worst. Seeing that you're another tarnished like that all-hearing brute, I hope that you will forgive me.
I do.
The medallion's better off in your hands anyway. Would you consider doing me a great service? I must go back. There is something I must do, even if I must say farewell to my wolf Lobo. Will you show me the way? To the land of Mikkela's Halig tree. If you accept, I would gladly apprise you.
Got a map or something?
Of the
I've never been
whereabouts
there.
of the medallion's other half. Thank you kindly. They say the other half of the medallion is beyond the Forbidden Lands, north of the Halig tree, in Castle Sol, on the mountaintops of the Giants, accessible by the Grand Lift of Rold. Then I suppose it's time.
So,
Well, my faithful wolf, my better half, I will go with the Tarnished, so that our journey will not have been in vain. Forgive me, Lobo.
do we know what she was doing here?
Call
Maybe we'll tell her.
me when needed, and I will fight at your side.
It sounds like she was at the Halig tree and then left. I guess presumably I guess I don't know. And then the pathway back is now blocked and she can't get back. That's a great question too. There is like a description of the bloodhounds, or as like they're attracted to great champions. So maybe Latenna was a great. She's known as a deaf magic archer, but having lost her beloved wolf companion, Lobo, she cannot move from the place where she was. Oh, she was summoned. She cannot move from the place where she was summoned. I don't think she was being protected by the bloodhound. I think she was being imprisoned by it, because we know that Gideon was kind of, yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right there for sure. Gideon has been killing the Albinarics, all this type of stuff, trying to find the path to the Halig tree. And my guess is that he, one way or another, was able to summon her under the guise of, something else, I'm sure, which brought her there. He killed the wolf and is questioning her about how to get back. I'm gonna go talk to him. Yeah, and then this is when this chick comes after you. Oh! Yeah, that great enemy. Interesting. That follows then with that. Perfect weapon made of a hardened skeletal arm, wielded by Ensha of the royal remains, fitted by placing one's hand, blah blah blah. Oh, clean creature, a king relinquishes. I have no idea. A king relinquishes not the hand. It could be kind of the same the same way he gets Nefeli to kind of follow him, kind of an adoptive daughter or son or whatever. Helm graced with gold human bones, worn by the unspeaking adherent of Sir Gideon the All-Knowing. Slowly replenishes HP when HP is reduced. It is said that the bones belong to an ancient lord, the Soulless King. The lord of the lost and desperate, who was known as Ensha. It said that the bones belong to an ancient... So... I wonder if that means that... Like, it's kind of... It's reminiscent of the Dark Souls one, where it's Ensha to attack us as we have the medallion, right? Yeah. No, I think it was definitely Gideon. He knew that we found Latenna and got the other half, so he sent Ensha to do his bidding. But what we don't know is if that's actually Ensha in there, or if it's like Havel from Dark Souls, where it's like, is it actually that person, or is it somebody who's wearing that armor? Because it doesn't really make it super clear in that.
It's about time I headed. I'll see you again, warrior.
What the frick? You didn't leave at all. What's wrong with you? Dude, what was that about?
You. What is it?
Oh, he's pissed at us now.
Oh, my apologies for that nasty business. Ensha got rather ahead of himself, it seems. As his master, I'd like to express my regret. But now, Ensha is slain and gone. Finished. Forevermore.
Yeah.
I understand you've been speaking to Nefeli. She's my daughter. I took her in when she lost the guidance of grace. Though a mere axe-wielding barbarian, her youthful credulity suited my purposes. So I put her to work. Do not hesitate to employ her. Should her services benefit you, despite her looks, she is more than capable in the press of battle.
You've met Garank, I take it.
Yeah.
Then owing to our duties shared, we are now comrades in arms. I think you've earned this. The power of the Golden Order to aid the hunt of those who live in death. I serve the Golden Order, that I might put this crooked land to rights, following only the guidance of the Great Elden Ring. Those who live in death fall outside the principles of the Golden Order. Their mere existence sullies the guidance of gold, tainting its truth. And so it is the vermin must be exterminated, down to the very last.
Litany of Proper Death. One of the incantations of the Golden Order, fundamentalist, used by hunters of those who live in death. Creates an image of the Order, dealing holy damage to nearby foes. This incantation is especially damaging to those who live in death. Any felled by this incantation cannot be revived. The role of the hunters is to stamp out defiled reason. All for the perfection of the Golden Order.
We meet again after all. I apologize for any offense given by my bearing, but I'm quite unable to move. you see. So, what do you need? You defeated Godric and claimed yourself a great rune. Looks like we both got what we wanted out of Stormvale, didn't we? Well done, friend. Something to mark the occasion. Go on, take it.
Thanks.
As you might have guessed, I still can't move. My fighting days are behind me. No need to be polite. I've no use for it anymore. The misshapen corpse on the Stormvale. That is a sacred relic of the Black Knives plot, as that famed night of assassination is known. It happened during the golden age of the Erd Tree, long before the shattering of the Elden Ring. Someone stole a fragment of the Rune of Death from Malekith, the Black Blade, and on a bitter night, murdered Godwyn the Golden. That was the first recorded death of a demigod in all history, and it became the catalyst. Soon, the Elden Ring was smashed, and thus sprang forth the war known as the Shattering. I once wished to become a scholar, you see. I've spent many an hour scouring the archives for knowledge of that fateful plot. The world has grown crooked, and if you intend to put it to rights, you'd better understand what happened to make it this way. And that thing is to blame for the shape I'm in now. I urge the utmost caution. Don't disturb the corpse more than necessary.
It's really interesting. Like, I kind of wish that if you messed around with the corpse enough that it like something would happen to you. I wonder what he was doing. That because the corpse doesn't do anything to us, no matter what we do to it.
Ah, so you've met Dee. Dee is an old friend. We found ourselves journeying together for a time, bound by our exploration of death. But our paths have since diverged, never again to cross. Though that's hardly an uncommon fate for two friends. Dee was telling me that he discovered the mark of the centipede. The centipede is an ancient symbol of the curse mark. As long as whoever finds and uses it is not nefarious by nature, then we may be able to form an alliance. If only I could speak to them in person. And if they were like you, all the better.
Yeah, he's definitely death blighted. It's just interesting that like I kind of wish it would happen to us. Because him saying like don't disturb the corpse more than necessary is like, well, we can do whatever we want to on it. We can tap dance on it, and like it doesn't do anything to us. So it would just be cool, like an added little thing if that could happen. Go down here, might as well. It's interesting that it's assassins who do the Night of the Black Knives, because we find the assassin's prayer book in here. And if this represents, you know, the subconscious of America, then it would that would mean kind of what we've stated for a while now, that she indeed was kind of harboring these doubts of the Golden Order and the Greater Will and all those types of things, and it lived kind of in the basement of the Round Table Hold, and eventually came out that night. Because I think, let me just look at it, I guess. Yeah. So I mean, it even has the two fingers, like the way that they talk, the words or whatever. Prayer Book of the Round Table holds assassins. Decipher. Peta. Maybe. Yeah, maybe if we take the Mark of the Centipede. One of the weapons originating from the two fingers, a formless sequence of ciphers comprises the blade, and as such no shield can repel it, deals holy damage. The furtive inscription appears to hang in the air, the language of the light spoken by the two fingers. And that language of light is what we see on the Assassin's Prayer Book. And the Assassins are the ones that carried out the Night of the Black Knives. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. The power of words. It's kind of like when somebody does a horrific thing in like God's name, right? Like all because they're interpreting one thing. What's up, Gilad? Gilad? I'm sorry, man. I can never... Gilad? Gilad?
Ah, you appear to be doing well. Very good. Well then, would you like to learn an incantation?
Nah.
May
Oh!
the Golden Order
Well, I don't want to give you that. Give it to Muriel.
You have returned. What is it? Ah, the children of the goddess, Queen Marika. She who is vessel
Gilad. Gotcha.
ring.
It matters.
Tainted by the strength of
Definitely
their
matters.
wounds, her children warred, but none could become Elden Lord. And so grace was extended to your kind, the tarnished. Listen, the greater we tarnished indeed. The demigods are each and all the direct offspring. Godric the Grafted was a runt of...
So it seems that perhaps in kind of Marika's naivety, she thought perhaps her undergoing this process of ego death and individuation that she'd be able to do it internally, like she would have the power from within herself to kind of fix the situation, thus, you know, being the war, the shattering war of the demigods, but none of them could fix the current situation that Marika is in. Thus, the guidance of grace extended to us tarnished, who were outside of the lands between, outside of the purview of Marika's consciousness. Meaning that she needed outside help. It couldn't come from her already existing kind of notions of the world. Oh fuck, I forgot. I also find it interesting that Tree Spirit was protecting Godwin's dead body in Stormville, but there aren't any in his real body. What there is though. There's an Urtri avatar with him. Deeper depths. Yeah. I think the reason that the Crucible Night is there is to give us a time frame of a more accurate timeline of exactly how far back the ego starts developing. If that makes sense. Like the ego death. It would take the ego back to where it was born, right? Like back to the very beginning. So I think that just tells us that the ego started forming out of the Crucible, which makes sense because we know that kind of in the development, the human development, as soon as you start making decisions and kind of long time ago, yeah. But the Crucible represents Marika's childhood as an unconscious kind of realm where she was completely operating in before she started kind of dividing and judging the world into what should and shouldn't be based off of, you know, society and all that kind of shit. So I think it's literally going all the way back to the beginnings of... Actually, before I do this, I wanted to... go... Which is obviously ancient. Yeah. But ancient relative to Marika's development. If that makes sense. Definitely not as much as oh, I see what you're saying. Like their actual names are ancient and geological. Okay, that I'm picking up what you're laying down. I guess I haven't looked into that. Did they, when are their in real world history, when are those civilizations kind of in bloom? Well, I would say that we never actually encounter the real America. Like, from a sense of her... Right. So here, we'll just show you the picture really quick. Where is it? This way. So this picture tells us quite a bit, I think. It's showing that Queen America the Eternal, her persona, the things that she projects to society is the same as the Erdtree. So her and the Erdtree are metaphors of one another. Yeah, so so there's a saying, as above so below, right? So anytime that there's an action in the conscious in America's consciousness, i.e. her persona, her ego, those types of things, there's an equal and opposite reaction in the unconsciousness or the shadow side of... So the Erdtree itself literally will have a shadow, which is what the DLC is. So as the Erdtree that we see grow and America's persona and ego grow along with it, because they are metaphors of one another, so too does the shadow side of the Erdtree. And there's no getting away from that. So I might have to go let my dogs in. They're going crazy. So you could say that the real America might be inside the Erdtree, but I don't prescribe to that theory. I think that everything is happening inside the real person America's head and inside of her psyche, which is hard to kind of get past and accept. But I think that's reality. And I think America, like, it would be just like if you and I were going through ego death in this process. Like, what is happening inside our minds in that process is what we see in game. Yeah. Does this have to do with the falling leaves tell a storyline from the endings with how the Erdtree projects America's view? Yeah, so I think the fallen leaves is just it's the death and rebirth of America as an individual, just like a tree goes through each, kind of fall, winter, spring. The leaves fall, it's reborn, and really the next order of the world comes from the Elden Lord, as we are the logos, we are the animating side of America, the one that calls her to action. So it's kind of it's the combination of our worldviews together, but the current stage of the Animus, aka the Elden Lord, is the one that enacts the order. But he could never reach the inside of the Erdtree. 1 second, I gotta go let my dogs in. They're driving me crazy. Be right back. Yeah, but Vike never made it that far. He got close. But he never actually made it. Yeah. Well, him and Bernal. Seems like Bernal got really close. So, like, in my first lore video, I make the claim that this statue and various statues like that is we as human beings nourishing our ego and persona, and basically that the ego and persona would be representative of the very golden flower at the top, and then the shadow side would be what's underneath of it, which looks just like the Helfin, and you know the knife that the assassins use, all that kind of stuff. One very golden in that we nourish and that we choose to kind of prune and accept about ourselves, and the other below the surface that we cast away, but nonetheless both grow equally and in opposite directions. And as we get to the capital, the Altus Plateau, you see this same person who's now being more enveloped by a tree, just kind of, again, just making the illustration of our egos and our persona and the societal pressures and all this type of stuff is growing and growing and growing, but what's lurking underneath is also growing. All right, let's so that's ego out of bound. Are you saying like that's ego it takes us over entirely? Yeah, 100%. So often if the ego goes, so there's a couple things here that's important. One is when an ego goes unchecked and it doesn't have the force acting against it known as the shadow, it will think itself a god. And we see this in people who are narcissists. So narcissism would be when an ego goes unchecked and it thinks it's, you know, it's of the highest quality. And the point of the shadow is to keep the ego in check, and when it gets out of control and thinks itself a god, it brings it back down to reality. So when when the Glomite Queen is known as the God Slayer, aka America's Shadow, that's what it's expressing. Is that the whole point of the shadow is to do just that. Is to keep us in check, to humble us. So the Malekith is the safe in which America's ego is kept. So remember, the Two Fingers give Empyreans vessels to store. They give these vessels to, and they call these vessels the Shadows. But a vessel is where you place something in to keep it locked up. So Malekith is the vessel that is holding Marika's shadow at bay. So it's everything about Marika that she doesn't like about herself, or that society would reject. So what he's holding at bay is the Glomite Queen. Yeah, I think I just answered that, but let me know if I need to explain it further. Because in pure Jungian terms, like, yes, the shadow would not have to kind of this third party. Right. So, like, even like if you look at Blide, yeah, exactly. It's a vessel for the shadow rather than the shadow itself. So think of it as a safe, and within that safe is what Marika is hiding, aka her shadow, from herself, from the rest of the world. And this is why Malekith, like, in the lore, defeats, quote unquote, defeats the Glomite Queen, because he is just holding her back. He is the safe holding the Glomite Queen back and out of the purview of consciousness. Which is why when you finally kill Malekith, the shadow is released, death is released back into the world, and Melina, the self of Marika, is able to embody the Glomite Queen yet again. While the Glomite Queen as an embodiment of the Rune of Death, as part of the shadow and oversees Black Flame in the Godskins. I don't understand that question, my dude. So, like, think of, but she embodies the Glomite Queen only when we trigger the chaos and correct. But before that, because her shadow self, the Glomite Queen, was never reassimilated into Marika's consciousness, she would never be able to embody that that person. I think the Frenzied Flame ending is just showing us that the Glomite Queen is back. She's killed to burn the Erd Tree. So you're saying, oh, the god, isn't she related to the Godskins? Well, she's kind of the leader of the Godskins. And the Godskins harness the... Oh, God. The Godskins harness the power of the Black Flame, which is literally a shadow. Oh, I hate these fucking things. Get me out of here. Go! Which the Black Flame is known to be able to kill gods. So, again, I although she's quote unquote, I don't want to say related to them, but is their leader. So Melina doesn't die. So fire is needed for rebirth. Yep. Think of it as a phoenix. A phoenix dies and then rises from the ashes. So too does your psyche. Your psyche, when you're going through these different stages of development, and you kind of forego your past self and let your new self grow. The way to bring that to life in a work of fiction is to burn it like a phoenix, and then from those ashes grows a new. It's just like the Erd tree is on fire, but clearly it's still there when we become Elden Lord. Melina sacrifices herself in order for the new psyche of Marika to be birthed. Getting some good stuff here. While we burn the Erd tree, she'll die in the end, but not as kindling. Oh, you bastard. Hey, Kim. How are you? Uh-oh. Yeah. I'm late again. Yeah, these finger creepers are terrifying. What's interesting is that they're here, but they seem to come from the mountain types of the giants. Lady Ronnie, we have long awaited you. I pray for your house's swift revival. May the full moon shine upon Karia. Well, Ronnie is not with the full moon anymore. She's defected to the dark moon, so... I don't think so. I mean, they could be, but these things have like 8 fingers and shit on them. What? You can't play it? Oh, man. Oh, it's too good to... Man, you gotta give it a shot, brother. Hang in there. There's definitely some things in there that are... Yeah. Bloodborne isn't for the faint of heart. It's an experience that's worth having, though, for sure. Cam, we were right when you hopped on, we were talking about how Melina is the is the character resembling America's self? I kind of wondered if you had any thoughts about that. And as we release Destined Death, we're able to, our America is able to have that part of her psyche back and tap into it as necessary. I think that's what I'm doing. I think, right? Sword of Night and Flame. Yeah, I get it. I get it, dude. Alright, let's read what this says. Sword of Night and Flame. Storied sword and treasure of the Caria Manor, one of the legendary armaments. Astrologers who preceded the sorcerers established themselves in the mountaintops that nearly touched the sky, considered the fire giants their neighbors. Oh, for sure, yeah. Hmm. Hmm. 24 and 24 faith. Astrologers who preceded sorcerers established themselves in the mountaintops that nearly touched the sky and consider the fire giants their neighbors. Hmm. Interesting. It's a very well balanced item. 12 strength, 12 dex, 24 in, 24 strength. What her innocence means. Go on, Kim. She particularly stresses not understanding the nature of the typical birth, which I think indicates a fractured identity or the split of innocence into an active agent. I'm gonna get back to some safety here. Yeah, that place is deadly. I might need a little bit more, Kim. Almost got my buns. Singed my buns. She also fears the frenzied flame in a way she does not destine death. Yet destined death is her threat to us as she awakens. Okay, let's tackle this a little bit. I like where your head's at. So she's particularly stressed not understanding the nature of the typical birth, which I think indicates a fractured identity, or the split of innocence into an active agent. I would be cautious of using the word innocent instead of naive or ignorant, if that makes sense. She doesn't seem so innocent, as to me anyways, as she does just completely unaware of what's happening. Yeah, innocent, I don't like it doesn't necessarily imply youth, but I guess kind of in a way it does, because yeah, she just doesn't know here. Like innocent just to me means kind of rid of all wrongdoing or sin, which I think in Miyazaki and George R. R. Martin, they stress that there is no such thing or person. Everybody is somebody painted with gray rather than black and white. And so she also fears the frenzied flame in a way she doesn't destine death. Yet destined death is her threat to us as she awakens. So it seems that the further that she goes on this journey with us, and the closer that she gets to the Erdtree, the more and more she becomes aware of her purpose, and really therefore our purpose. And she understands that the release of Destined Death, aka America's Shadow and the Glowmite Queen and all this type of stuff, is the necessary step. Awakened is not good. Perhaps transformed is more apt. Yeah, transformed. Yeah, you're probably right there. So I think she has a respect for Destined Death as a necessary part of the Lands Between, aka America's psyche as a whole. And I think what's happening in the Frenzied Flame ending is that my hunch is that when we enact that ending, we're completely embracing the shadow side, if you will. So to me, when I see the way that the Erdtree looks in the Shadows of the Erdtree DLC photo, it looks similar to kind of the way it looks when in the Frenzy Flame ending, when it's kind of bursting out of it. And I think what's happening in that ending is it's another complete flip, an overcorrection, if you will, from completely being ego persona driven and now being possessed by your shadow. And I don't think that she's threatening us. I think that what she's it's she's revealing to the world that this is her domain and that this is the place where she is God. If that makes any sense. Yeah, I think the outer God is supposed to rep something akin to that. I think the outer God thing still needs quite a bit of polishing before it can be like a legit theory. I think it's a working theory, but something that still needs polishing. As I understand, if Destined Death is released as Melina is alive, she will take the shadow form, whereas if she burns herself, she doesn't have to transform. No. She burns herself before we even go to Farum Azula. That's how we get to Farum Azula. She sacrifices herself. So no matter which ending you choose, she's been burned. But she lives in the chaos ending. Well, Shabriri says save your mating by sacrificing yourself. Which you don't do because you still at the forge of the giants yeah, it is a difficult. Okay, so let's. It's actually rather difficult to maintain as one thinks, I find. Yeah, it is difficult to maintain. To expand on what Crazy is saying, if she lives in the chaos ending, is it to act as some sort of counterbalance? No. So within the psyche, I think it's between Asmerica's psyche. Yeah. So think of, maybe it'll help if I drop something a visual in the chat. Let me do that. Oh boy. Sorry about that. I wonder if I can I do that? Sounds good. Okay. So the thing that the link I just dropped in the chat has a picture of kind of what I'm talking about. So in this picture, you see above what looks like a water line is the ego, the persona, the physical world society, aka what makes up somebody's consciousness. So that is what I see everything on the surface level of the lands between being. Right? Is like everything that's above this waterline surface. And then what lies below would be like when we're going into caves, when we go into the Eternal City, when we go to like the Lake of Rot, all this different stuff that seems to happen below the surface seems to be the unconscious aspects of America. Things that she's unaware of, or things that she has chosen not to let the world see, if you will. And then within that unconsciousness is something called the self. And the self is like the very foundation of who we are. The self encompasses all of these different aspects of ourselves, both conscious and unconscious. So, Melania, being the physical representation of the self, means that she holds within her all of the different integrated parts of America's psyche. Like, I've made the claim that the fact that she has strawberry blonde hair is because it's a combination of Radigan America put together. The reason that she has one golden eye and one purple eye is because she is America's ego and America's shadow reintegrated together. So the self never dies. It can. Sorry, Melina, not Melania. Yeah, Melina. So the self, it never dies, right? Like it can sacrifice itself and be reborn as that individual goes through that process, right? But ultimately, oh God. Ultimately, the self never actually goes away. None of these aspects that make you can ever completely go away. It's just how we choose to use them, and if we choose to integrate them into our consciousness. So in the Frenzied Flame ending, because we have released the shadow of America, and it is now within the self of America as it's reintegrated into her psyche, she has the ability to act as that person, where before she did not have the ability to do so. And in that Frenzied Flame ending... Oh, that's creepy. I believe that what's happening is that the shadow is now the dominant force of America's psyche in that new order of chaos, because chaos, remember, chaos is resembled by the three fingers. It's resembled by all of the aspects that were shoved into the shadow for so very long that it's a complete 180 from basically the golden order of consciousness, and it's now the order of the shadow, order of chaos. And where America, the eternal, that persona and that ego were the god of that age and of that order, the order of chaos, the Glomite Queen is that god, which is why we see her, quote unquote, kind of come back to life in that ending. I hope that helps. It's confusing, but once you get it, it's like you get it. Also, but if you're unaware of these aspects, how can we integrate it within our consciousness? That is the process of ego death, my friend. So, and maybe I shouldn't say that you're unaware of it. It's something that you've chosen to go against and not make part of your conscious awareness. So when one experiences ego death, you're stripping away all of the former things that you held dear to your life, that you once thought incredibly valuable. So like a big example would be like your faith. If you were a devout Christian and you completely sacrificed a lot of your life, and a lot of the decisions you made were for that one thing, this worldview, the things that you sacrificed would go into your unconscious. Once you have a traumatic event in your life, or something confronts you and rocks you to your core, and the pillars of value that you once based your entire world on are crumbling, that is when ego death starts to happen. And that is, it can be voluntary or involuntary, but yeah. So ego death is your re-evaluating your entire life, and you're reintegrating what you once deemed sinful or yada yada yada, are as undesirable, and you're saying, you know what, that didn't serve me very well, it got me to XYZ, so I need to really reevaluate my entire life and the meaning behind it. That is ego death. And what comes from ego death is the way that it's explained is like, prior to ego death, you have this order, right? And this order that you follow to the T. Like, it's everything that you believe to be true in life and the things that make you you. And then a traumatic event happens in your life and it rocks you to your core, and order goes into chaos. And this chaos is like this, basically what we see in game, this fracture of your psyche, because what you once thought true, what once made up your psyche, no longer does. So it rocks you to your core, your psyche fractures and splits, and out of that chaos you rebuild a basically newer, better version of yourself that is much more balanced, that is much more unique, much more whole to yourself, true to your true self. And Jung often says, like, our job as adults with this process of individuation is to get back to our childlike state, because who we are as a child is completely whole, right? Like, we're not trying to be anything, we're not judging things, like it's the most whole that we ever are as an individual. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I didn't really. Okay, so that's what it gets triggered due to some astronomical pain or hurt. Nah, it's something conscious. In America's case, could it be the Golden Order not being able to save her child? Exactly. So it's kind of like you're respecting your character. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. But in order to respect our character, we start back at zero, right? Like, we get to pick and choose how we do it, which is, like, if you look at our attributes and the level of runes that we have a stockpile of them that form our character. When we choose to respec, those get scattered to the wind, and as we respec, we're putting those pieces into different places and turning the dials in different places to make a better character for the world. That's a really good analogy. Or give life back to her stillbirth, if that's so. Yeah, so the thing that triggered Marika seems to be that she put all of this faith and value into a system and based her entire worldview on it, that at the end of the day didn't do her any good, because it didn't save her child. Now she's completely alone and fractured and all this stuff, and she's completely lost because the thing that she once held so valuable has betrayed her. So then the shadow takes place of the ego, and then the previous ego / order becomes the shadow. No. So how do I explain this? So the ego never truly dies, right? Like, that's a well accounted fact in psychology. You can have quote unquote ego death, but it never actually dies, which again is very analogous to what we see in game with Godwin. But its effects have the effects of ego death kind of spiral outward onto every aspect of your life, which is why we see death root and kind of the roots of Godwin's body being throughout the lands between, because it's having an effect, and actually a positive effect, on the whole world, aka America's whole psyche. But it seems like the shadow, the only time that happens with like the shadow, at least, it seems to be in the Frenzy Flame ending, where there's a complete reversal of roles, which is not supposed to happen. Which could happen. I mean, it definitely could happen, right? Like, how many people or stories have you heard where a traumatic event, they never recover from it, and they turn to drugs and alcohol, and all of their relationships go to shit. Like, the result of ego death does not necessarily equal a better, more whole person. That's the goal. Oh, fuck. That's the goal, but if the person is not in a state of development that they have the ability and tools to do that, then yeah, you could make the claim that it is the shadow that takes over at that point. Does this have to do with anything to do with Rebirth and Elden Ring, or am I reading it too far into it? Honestly, I'm not sure. Am I going the wrong way? I am. So the process of rebirth in Elden Ring seems that it gets back and reabsorbed into the Erdtree, or into the ego, which you could make the claim that is a symbol that the ego and stuff and persona is still growing, because everything is just feeding into it, right? Like, basically all of their actions they see as a redeeming quality for their ego, as a reason to keep their ego going, until we release the shadow again, and the shadow can counterbalance that ego and that aspect of America. Guess I was wrong. Wrong about what, Gilad? It's a lot to consume in this medium, right? Like, because you're trying to connect a very ambiguous, mysterious game to a very ambiguous, mysterious thing that is the human psyche. Like, to get a full understanding of it, you should at first get an understanding of the human psyche and the different components of it, and then come back to the game and see, like, how you can apply it, and if it makes sense to apply it in certain areas. Oh, Castle Soul is awesome. Castle Soul is still a mystery that has so much a lot more to uncover. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh shit. What's up, Jake? Yeah, ready to grab that, my dude. I've always thought that this place looks like they are doing some sort of ritual. And I wonder if it's where they are able to kind of conjure the moon and like that quote unquote outer god. Oh, you like Limgrave the best, huh? Like that to me just looks very, very ritualistic. Eclipse was Castle Soul since... Well, the castle has soul in its name, and Eclipse has moon covering it. Yeah? Yeah, like a council. The whole Eclipse thing is, like, eludes me. I don't really understand it. And like using water as a medium to do it. My theory on the Eclipse is they need to melt the sun to make gold to stave off rot. Ooh, interesting. with the eclipse with the death bird and stuff appearing at night. Perhaps an eclipse, a sudden shift from day to night, or harmony between them. Something to do with that. Interesting. So in that picture, Nicola needed golden needle to remove rot. Yeah. In that picture, I thought the ritual of soul with the eclipse was a rebirth or bringing back a god. Yeah, I think that is definitely, that seems to be like the goal, right? I'm just wondering how the actual mechanism itself works and why it failed, and like why that would be the case, I guess. Like, why would an eclipse bring back a god? Unless, like... Oh, I don't think it was... Well, yeah, I guess kind of, because they're saying, like, he'll never get a true death. So in that picture that I dropped about the illustration of the psyche, the wave-like pattern that splits the conscious and unconscious is very much intentional, because water seems to be like the dominating illustration for whenever you're trying to allude to the fact that it's an unconscious, yeah, like an iceberg, right? Whenever you're trying to allude to the fact that something in the unconscious is being tapped into. So if this council or whatever was performing a ritual to somehow dive into the unconsciousness, the unknown, and retrieve something there, like, because we know that Ronnie is aware of the fact that the Eternal City has some sort of weapon that kills the Two Fingers. And maybe this is her attempt, when she's still alive, at accessing that thing. And looks like the ego. Up there? Do I have a starlight shard? I don't think I do yet. Powers of both faith and intelligence, maybe that's what why they harbor the sword. Consumables, thank you. This? I don't think I have one. Nope. Should be next to rune arcs. We can go pick one up now. Alright, hit me with it. Where are we going? Possibly taking the powers of both faith and intelligence. Maybe that's why they harbor the sword. The astrolabe? An ephemeral silver that gives... Oh, perfect. That gives off a pale blue glow. What remains of a passing flash of starlight. Prize item that was once used in the Eternal City. Man. There's one right next to the Church of Rot. It's an ingredient in intoxicating droughts. Interesting. Huh. And I guess this is where Loretta like springs from, is from this lake. So maybe they did have the ability within this little ritual circle to somehow tap into the spirit world. The memory of Loretta. So she's still alive. Yeah. Yeah. I think the Halleck tree is the result of America's ego death and process of individuation. I think it's her new way of thinking. I think that's what the Halleck tree resembles, because it grows outside of the head of the fetus of the map, and is like in a. It seems to kind of come right from that area. And everything we know about Mikola and the Halleck tree, it seems to be that is the which is why it branches out of, yeah, like Marika got back to her childlike state. It's the head of the fetus. There's a lot of kind of metaphors that are at play there with why it's in that location. Also, it's white, which is an important alchemical. It's in like the white area, which is an important alchemically. There's a lot of different things that are going on there. But they're all kind of alluding to like the same thing. Oh, I don't think she let Moog do anything. Like one of the things that Gideon says to us is that America is upset because of what Moog did. Oh, you gotta be shitting me. Hold on, let me get this boy. So why would Moog elope Mikola then? If she is convinced about the new way of the world order, why would she let... So, remember, she is along this process, right? It's not a fully developed process yet, or it's not a fully developed order yet. And we know this because we are the third of the fourth stage of the Animus. So there's one more stage to go before Marika has completed this process. So Mikola, still being in its infancy and growing and developing, is his outcome will be the new order, this fourth and final stage of development for America. Moog does this while, presumably before we get in there, so really during like the second stage, during Radigan's time, or in sometime in between. So this eloping of Mikola, to me, it tells me that, yeah, I think in DLC, Mikola's going to become a fully fledged god. But I think Moog is incredibly intelligent and understands what America is doing, and knows that Mikola is the path forward. And if Godwyn, Moog, and Morgott are all siblings, and Godwyn is the ego, and is, you know, in the light of the Erd Tree and the Golden Child, and Morgott, or Moog rather, is literally like shackled to the earth and cast into the sewers, it would make sense that he would sabotage anything that America is trying to do. And I think all of these demons, and the shadow of the Erd Tree itself, not like DLC wise, but the actual like shadow, quote unquote, shadow of the Erd Tree. I don't want to do this yet. Let's do let me see. Where do I want to go? Panicking. And this fourth and final stage of the Animus is the catalyst that is used to be able to bring together the conscious and unconscious parts of our psyche. So Mikola is needed to bridge that gap. And until that happens, America can't complete her development. And the fact that Moog plucked him before he was fully developed himself, to me, means that Mikola is like stuck in the shadow world, and the DLC is going to be about us going to kind of like rescue him. I don't know if Moog is fully aware of America's plans, but I think that he at least understands the importance put on Mikola. Ow! What the fuck was that? Like, the psyche is aware of what's going on. But is it possible that Mikola and Melania represent America's stillbirth, or inability to give birth? So I think that the reason that they are portrayed the way they are is because they are the catalyst, the stillbirth being the catalyst for this whole ego death process. And that being stillbirth is resembled in them too. One being the eternal child, and one being like this depression rot type of thing that is consuming America. but don't get a proper life. Yeah, they're opposites. Oh, I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think we'll ever know. Like, let's read another. Young plant crystallized before it could mature. Frozen before it could mature. So, like, to me, all of these things are. It's either a stillbirth, a miscarriage, or the death of like of an infant. Like the game is trying to tell us what this is, but I don't think that we'll ever get like a clear explanation other than it's some sort of death before it could mature.
Your worship, I apologize for any offense given. I am Pidia, servant to the Carrion royal family.
Pidia.
I am charged with maintaining these ghastly dolls. Your worship, allow me to be of use. Other than the puppets, there are some very fine things up here in this storeroom. Why not pick something out before you go? But please, can you offer poor ill-starred Pidia a little something by way of compensation?
Stillbirth means a healthy kid who was born dead. And locking away death might bring the child back, maybe? The polar star and rivets of gold. The inside is lined with fur protecting the carrier from frost. From the north, the shield depicts the polar star and rivets of gold.
Please.
Yeah, then it would probably make sense that it is stillbirth, because a lot of the items in game seem to point at as like it was healthy, but it never got a chance to mature, which would definitely resemble stillbirth. Yeah, he would do one hell of a job. Give it time. Give it time. I appreciate that, Crazy. I really do, but I am far from his level of creating I hope so. I hope so. I need some technical upgrades, both in my brain and in my equipment, before I'm even close to doing something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's just a just waking up. Oh yeah, I forgot you don't live in the US, do you? Where in Europe do you live? Ouch. Oh, wow. So, as part of this process of individuation, which is synonymous to ego death, it's just the term coined by Carl Jung is all. But they have the same effect, right? It's kind of this rebirth of yourself. But anyways, part of that is what he calls uniting the opposites. So uniting the conscious aspects of who we are with the unconscious aspects of who we are. You're from India, Crazy? You're in Israel right now? Good God, guys. That's super cool. But this uniting of the opposites is a common theme. Yeah, I guess so. Holy shit. I've made it. This uniting of the opposites is a common theme in the game. Uniting the ego with the shadow, uniting the masculine with the feminine, uniting the eros with the logos, uniting life with death. All of these different things have to take place for a true wholesome rebirth of one's psyche in a positive way. And you see those, I mean, characters are meant to resemble the duality of those opposites. Royal Grave Everdale. Onyx Lord. Dude, these guys are such a mystery to me. they fight like giants. Like they have the same move pattern as giants. Or the trolls. I mean. Yeah. Yeah, how far back was that? Months, yeah. Yeah, that was, I would say that was right about the time where I kind of stumbled across Jung and the connections that are end game. And since then I've read a lot of books and papers and all that kind of stuff. In Hindu mythology, when Sati dies and Shiva dances with her dead body, Vishnu cuts Sati's body into pieces and they fall in different parts of the land where temples are created eventually. It's a beautiful story. Yeah, my first, even my first lore video wasn't quite right. I was still very naive to the concepts of Jung and how to apply them. So the dragons, and I just actually talked about this in one of the comments of my, but dragons in all of human literature are almost like the primordial symbol of the unconscious. Like, if there is a dragon being depicted in a picture or something, it's meant to provoke the unknown, right? Like the more mythical aspects of the human experience. And for our purposes and for human psychology, dragons are the visual element of somebody's unconsciousness. So here, so back in the age of the dragons, when Placidusax was Elden Lord and their fell god, or their god fled, it's in a time where Marika was completely whole and operating in the unconscious realm. Like Farum Azula is Marika's childhood, where she was operating in that whole state where her shadow, all the elements of her psyche are in balance and whole. And that is why the area is in that age, quote unquote, is dominated by dragons, because it's an age dominated by the unconsciousness. So one really interesting thing, and we'll get there shortly, in the capital, is you see the siege of the dragons and what looks like, I forget is it Grandsax or Fortisax, is that there is an attack on the capital, specifically to the Erd Tree, that Grandsax is attempting to do. This is like we see in Castle Morn, like we see all over the place. It's the unconscious fighting back against the conscious ego. And specifically in that case, it's like it's at scale, right? It is like the most powerful conscious aspect, the ego, against the most powerful unconscious aspect, resembling the dragons. Welcome back. Like how in maps, dragons and mythical beasts show uncharted territory. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They represent that aspect of the human psyche. Oh shit, one thing I need to go do is
Any trouble?
So the symbol of the Halig Tree behind the bewitching branch is incredibly important, because it's that crisscross pattern is called the caduceus, and it's associated with the Greek god Hermes. And one of the tenets of the fourth stage of the Animus is it's in Greek lore and Greek myth, it is the fourth stage is Hermes, the messenger of the gods. So again, kind of like Cranky was saying, there's breadcrumbs everywhere. Like once we understand kind of what the game is trying to tell us, it opens up your eyes. Yeah, the sigil. Yeah, the sigil of the Halig Tree. I wonder what Bellum means. Does anybody know off the top of their head? Bellum? Bellum. Oh, war. That's fitting. And then at the Church of War, or whatever you want to call it, you see bum Radigan, the war hero. Very, very fitting. And not only that, but like when we see something that is being wrapped in the Erdtree roots, you can kind of take that as like it's something that is being brought to America's consciousness. Interesting to remember that as we head towards the 2-year anniversary. Yeah. 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 Let's see. Let's go get Bach. We need Bach. Here. And I haven't even been there. Jeez Louise. Yeah, I think it's just anytime that we see like the roots of an Erdtree start to engulf someone or something, seems to invoke that it's starting to integrate into America's consciousness, and she's able to like she's becoming aware of it and is able to quote unquote use it. And all of these like really strange looking creatures that look way out of place are always next to some water. It's almost like they're coming out of the unconsciousness, like it's leaking into America's consciousness. Even the first dragon that we fight is in the Aguil Lake. And they always give eggs and ovaries, yeah. That's a really good point. Oh. You alright? Hey guys, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that like button for me. It goes a long ways. I really do appreciate it.
What are you doing here?
Coming to save you.
You must leave this place at once.
Ah, I ain't scared.
They'll rush in and beat you to a pulp. You'll end up just like me.
I should kill one of those things and get an egg and ovary and read the description with this kind of new angle of approach. Oh. Hey, look at that. Oh, okay, hold up. Relax, guys. Okay. I'll just do this really quick. Eat humans in order to bear young. Whoa. All right. Okay, I think Land Octopus eat humans in order to bear young, and theirs is the blood that runs through these ovaries. It's human blood? Man. Yeah, I guess. Yes, of course you can ask, Ken. You can always ask. I think that just goes to show the lengths that and kind of the depths that somebody will go to in order to have a child. And kind of the importance that is placed upon that. Let's see what Kim says. When Marika shattered herself, the Erdtree scattered golden seeds as a reaction. How do you see these phenomenon of propagation in the face of distress? I had a... I was thinking about this a while back, and do I have one? Okay. Golden seed found at the base of an illusory tree. When the Elden Ring was shattered, these seeds flew from the Erdtree, scattering across the various lands, as if life itself knew that its end had come. So I took that as the greater will, knowing that Marika is becoming aware of her. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but perennials do this during the fall winter time. Right before that they are about to die, they drop seeds, and then those seeds are the ones that are actually birthed in the next spring. So it's the same plant that it's almost like the child of that original plant. And I think that this is just another, it's kind of like the fallen leaves story, right? Like before the the quote-unquote Erd tree or the current order dies, the leaves fall, the golden seeds get scattered, because the story of rebirth is just as important as the story of the original order. And I think that is what these are. It's the America has moved past this stage of development. The order that she's in is no longer suits her. A new order is imminent, and this order that is current is on its way out. And this new birth happens where a new order, by birth of America's new stage of development and the Animus's new stage of development, will be the new quote-unquote tree that springs up, if that helps. Religious group reach out to families and telling that your child is not going to church. Oh, annuals. Yeah, annuals. Right. Exactly. I called that the forbidden knowledge, since it's the knowledge that the Golden Order doesn't want you to uncover. It's the core of Gnosticism. Annuals, yep. Continuation through rebirth. Yeah, I mean that's like that's the theme of this of the whole kit and caboodle, right? Act 2 to Act 3 in your life. Right, exactly. Yep. Right. You going from the different acts, different stages, you kind of prune yourself. You're pruning your own psyche. Some things will die off. Some things will grow off of that death. Yeah, I know what you meant, buddy. And the issue that we're seeing right now is that this process of, I think people get hung up on the process of rebirth not happening because of the Golden Order. And while that may be true, it seems more that Radagon is not relinquishing his powers as Elden Lord. He seems to be holding America hostage, and that seems to be the true cause of the stagnation. I think that the Golden Order, was supposed to happen, and it seems like America understood its faults long ago. But because the second stage is, a Bob the Builder, Mr. Fix-It guy, Radagon is bound to fix the Golden Order, and not in a malicious way, but just because it's what he does. And this determinism to fix it is what's causing the stagnation, rather than just letting the pruning happen and the whole rebirth go. Where the fuck did the tree just go? Hello? Jeez. Talk about illusory tree, huh? See? Yeah, just like that. Just talking about it helps. It's very therapeutic.
You must leave this place at once. They'll rush in and
Yeah,
put you to a
they couldn't wait. It's been 3 years. If you dipshits can't figure it out now, then nothing's gonna help you.
Wait. Is that what I think it is?
Probably should have read that description.
Got it back for me. My sewing needle. What made you go into a thing
Cool,
like
thanks, man.
that? My mum was a seamstress, and that sewing kit was all I had to remember her by. I always wanted to be just like sweet old mum. Then I suppose I can't just curl up and die, can I? Thank you. You're very kind.
The large sewing needle curved like the fang, blocked the demi-human's prized possession.
Then I suppose I can't just curl up and die.
Thank you, buddy.
Can I? Thank you very. I always wanted to be a. Then I suppose I can't just curl up and die.
No, you can't. Yeah, it's a whole different story there. And I talked about when we were first trying to kind of just give the map a little more context within, the human psyche, conscious, unconscious. You'll notice that when you're inside a cave or underground or something like that, you have to go all the way through it before you can like fast travel and stuff like that. Even if you kind of light the fire of the lost grace. So by doing that, you're kind of bringing attention and awareness of that space back into the world. And by lighting the fire of the lost grace, you're giving America more and more and more of her psyche back. If that helps. Might confuse you more. Okay, let's go here. Sewing needle made of gold, unique item made to alter demigod attire, one of the tools brought by Radagon when he entered into marriage with Renala and conjoined the Carrion Land.
I am pleased to see you again. Would you like?
Yes, please.
Now, come closer.
Yeah. Every time I see something to do with like sewing, I always think of the Sisters of Fate.
You are so very warm. I was known as a deathbed companion, where I come from, after I received the warmth and lively vigor from a number of champions. I lay with the remains of an exalted noble, to grant him another chance at life. To do so is the purpose of my being.
Yeah.
But before I could bear the noble into new life, I was awakened by the guidance of grace and chased from my birthplace. Pray, be kind. Despite all that, I still wish to be a deathbed companion. So please, let me hold you like this, as often as it takes.
Is Fia opposed or aligned with Mikola in terms of what to do with Godwin?
My dear,
They seem to be
have you
aligned.
heard of Black Knife Prince? Dear Roger, likes to talk of them when abed. And
It seems like they both
in which the first of the demigods was slain.
they both want
the black knives wielded by the
Godwin
assassins
to
who
have a
committed
true
the
death.
act, along with the impressions they made, somehow hide the truth of the conspiracy. These grand affairs are hardly my forte, but dear Roger began to weep as he spoke. In truth, I've heard tell from someone else about the black knife prints that fascinate dear Roger so. But it wouldn't be right to give this to him, stuck as he is in the round table hold. Perhaps you could make use of it?
That's cool, man. The best thing Miyazaki does is give us the player character options to do whatever we think is best.
Well, where have you been hiding? I took you for dead. No matter, it's all the same. Lay out your arms then.
Yeah. Same goal, different approaches. Yep. Sure. All right. Yeah. Very true. So I want to go up. Oh, here's that other statue. Oop. I'm strong enough to be using the grafted. I'm not sure why I'm not. I should be able to two-hand it now, right? Nope. Yeah. So the closer we get to the capital, right, the more and more that this individual is being enveloped by the tree. Ow! Oh, good. Hey.
Hey, are you grabbing Lenny or do you want me to?
Well, which high B do you have to go to?
Go one by Main Street on State Street.
Oh, I'll grab Leon then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm leaving. I'll grab the groceries and meet you guys at home.
Okay. Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I agree. That monologue is pretty sweet. Did I? I could have sworn I unplugged it. Oh well. I got just a little bit left before I gotta go pick up my keyed. Yeah, am I not? What the hell? That's hilarious. I can promise you, Vadi would never do that. Oh no! Interesting. I wonder if it goes from my... It goes into my controller at that point. That's really funny. Oh boy. Yeah, he's mean. Let's read that. So, Howl of Shabriri, originating from the maddening three fingers, releases a maddening shriek that causes madness buildup in foes nearby. This incantation also causes madness buildup in the caster. It is said that the sickness of the flame of frenzy began with Shabriri, the most reviled man in all history. That's... Get away from me! Yep, definitely have a dog. Got two of them, actually. See, I'm just not quite professional enough for this next level. Hello. Well, that does jack shit. That's right. This is home, baby. This is... Let it all hang out. This is a grab a cup of coffee or a beer kind of stream. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think Miyazaki breaks the fourth wall a couple times in this game. with stuff like that. Converted French Tower. What do I need for this? Oh. No thanks. I don't need Memory Stone. Yeah, I don't know why they don't. It's weird to me. I feel like having interactions with your community is like it's like a necessary step in order to actually like build lore. Yeah. Ooh, my beast is quivering. Alright, guys. I probably gonna wrap it up for today. Unless you guys have some burning questions you'd like to ask before I hop off. Next time we'll go through. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really unplug my mic for that one. If you guys have any kind of last minute questions or anything like that, or ideas or theories, I'd love to hear them. But I'll be on again tomorrow, roughly the same time or so. I do it before my little boy gets home from daycare. So next time we'll just kind of keep on keeping on. We'll go through, talk about the black knife that's here and all that kind of stuff, and then head to, I guess, the capital next. Start to uncover even more of the mapping of the story and stuff like that. Yeah. So I do it all from my PS5. And to be honest, I'm still I'm still, I don't have like a set schedule. I can probably come up with one for like, maybe I can give you maybe like a 12-hour notice or something. That's probably the best I could do. Maybe even like 6-hour notice, but I can do that, and I'll schedule it tomorrow for about the same time, maybe 1, 2 o'clock, something like that, Central Time. I guess you guys are all around the world, so that doesn't that doesn't help you guys. But as always, appreciate you guys. I'm working on my Elden Lord lore video, so hopefully that's coming out here in the next several weeks. But yeah, I'll give you guys kind of first glance at it. I'll drop it in a live stream chat or something like that, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, appreciate you. Peace. Have a good night, y'all.